I sort of felt that throughout the experience, especially with the sharing portion of it too. Something that I found as a benefit, but particularly with Broadway Bound, was the opportunity to get to know more about my students. So using the chat mechanism, knowing that there's not transitional time from one thing to the next, and taking that breath and taking that time at the beginning of each session to just chat with the students. And that's something when we're in real time in studio, we're so, and rightfully so, focused on the creation. So it was amazing to be able to find out, for instance, what they enjoy doing outside of their love for musical theater, to find out what books they read, shows they watch, to find out that a student is also a visual artist, a brilliant visual artist, or that another student stays up late at night writing poetry, right? So discovering more about the students and the myriad of ways that they express artistically and learn, like that was truly awesome.
Good. Now, I love that. You guys just got to hit it harder. When you go with the music, you just got to hit it harder. It's got to be bigger. You got to fill the screen up.
Didn't know who I was meant to be. I thought that no one would be there for me. But now, I see a brand new you. I see a brand new.
Parts of the stage became a really important tool, which is a valuable tool in theater anyway, to really know parts of stage, downstage, towards the camera screen, upstage, away from the camera screen, to your actual performers, right is the right side of stage and screen, left. So that was great to be able to just reinforce those skills that you need to know, they're basics for theater. So that really helped to just know that we're talking the same language. This is a close-up. This is a foreground. This is middle stage.
I've tried every which way, and still you never listen.
And with the older students, we really started playing with moving towards center and moving towards each other, like center stage. So we really started playing with the Zoom platform as though it's a proscenium stage.
I did 2 different sessions, and in the first session I did the vocal lab, and I actually found what was really awesome, an awesome opportunity, was to see the kids' faces so close up. And usually we only get to coach the kids on acting and acting through beats in a song if they're cast in a lead role or if they have a solo. And a lot of the time the kids are actually much more preoccupied with the sound coming out of their mouths than their acting beats, because that's where they feel vulnerable. And also because, you know, that's what you can hear. That's what they're more conscious of. They can't always see themselves. We're rarely coaching them in front of a mirror. And so coaching them through acting beats when they have so much feedback and we're just focusing on the acting beats and everyone around them is also making choices. That was a really interesting opportunity that I hadn't even thought of before and presented itself so beautifully in this summer. And what I really enjoyed was doing I'm Not That Smart, and the kids, we would do it in like groups of 4, and I'd say, make a new choice, and then ask, as a viewer, what is a choice that you saw that you liked? What's a choice that you saw that you had never thought of before? How could you take that same phrase and reinterpret it in a different way? And so acting wise, that was such a fun thing to do. And then with teaching tap, again, I kind of want to speak to the vulnerability angle, in that the kids could turn on their cameras, they could turn off their cameras, they could focus on their feet, they could focus on their upper body. I had my camera focused on my feet and on my whole body. So it also just kind of gave a different perspective and let the kids be a little bit more at their own pace.
Hi everybody, my name is Miss Jamie, and I had the pleasure of doing choreographic styles in the second week, and we focused on tap dancing. And we watched some videos, we learned about the history of tap coming from the 5 Points district in New York City, and then we taught the classic shim sham.
Yeah, so there was a huge range. There were some kids who had, you know, tap shoes and a tap floor and a bar at their house. And there were some kids who were on the carpet in their bare feet. And I actually kind of appreciated that too, because there was a wide range. And we talked a lot about the history of tap. That was another awesome opportunity of Zoom, is to be able to show examples. So usually if I taught a dance class or a tap class, we wouldn't have as much time to look at examples. And when we decided to do the Shim Sham, that was also a nice pulling together of like, this is such a quintessential tap thing, but it's also, it's not always done in tap shoes. The hardest part about tap was obviously not hearing what their feet were doing. So I had no way of really checking in the same way. And it definitely lent itself more to the kids giving their own feedback. In my very first number, Little Shop of Horrors, we made the Little Shop of Horror puppets, and they were so stinking cute, and it was such a great, funny reveal, and that was my favorite thing that we did.
You betcha, betcha, but you betcha. Best believe it, something's gonna get ya. You betcha, better watch your back and your tail.
In some ways, this is meeting them where they are in another space, like in their home. What kind of props can you use? What kind of costumes can you use? What kind of technology can you use? How do we discover together how to manipulate this Zoom? It wasn't until like the second week that I learned that if you turn on Zoom in a different order, you can have the first people who turn on Zoom be grouped together. And so I feel like we were all learning the strategies of what possible creativity there was at our fingertips together. I'm endlessly inspired by my coworkers and co-artists and collaborators, and watching Laura's I See It All on TV. I had 1,000 ideas for what could be done.
Some kids like electric trains, and some kids like to use their brains to earn a university degree. I don't share their thirst for knowledge. I don't need to go to college. Me, I see it all on TV.
Some kids like to sing and dance, and some kids go to Paris, France, while others visit Washington, D.C.
I don't learn a single thing, 'cause I can download anything. It's all on my computer for free.
Some kids go to baseball games, and other kids have useless aims like...
I think we've just scratched the surface of like, oh, they can make their own props. They can use their houses. There can be site-specific things. I think we're so used to thinking in one way about theater, and now as we think about like, okay, so we have this whole new space, what's now open to us?
We can see it all on TV.
On TV.
On TV. On TV.
Our students know so much about those cell phones. They spend so much time on them. I knew that they could find those photos and flip those photos and be able to do that timing. A skill I do not have. But here's where I really leaned into what they know so well. And so it became a really collaborative project because I gave them tasks. Overnight, I want you to find these photos, and I want you to find the best examples of these things. And then I want you to find a way to be able to scroll that and do it quickly and set it up. And so we went into breakout rooms, and they created those dance breaks, and they created the theater moments, the acting out moments together. I did not give them those things. I simply gave them tasks. And then they went into breakout rooms and created truly every moment. Now, I did the mathematical puzzles about who and when and assigned them all the parts, but they came up with all of the important bits that came back and forth and worked together and gave each other feedback. It was really exciting to pop in on the breakout rooms and watch them in the activity of creating together.
I did appreciate the sense that like we were fighting to be together no matter what. And it felt, especially because they had to help each other out, that, you know, even our littlest ones would say, oh, I actually know what the problem is that you're having with getting in. Let me send you this. That sense of like authentic helping and sharing was really nice. It was really nice to see as an educator, and also I still felt bonded to kids that I didn't even know. I would sign on and they would say, hi, Miss Jamie, how's this going? Or you're in a new space today. So there was still the sense of getting to know students and having relationships with them.
But I would say for all of the groups, like our youngest ones, they came up with those costume ideas. I think a lot of the theater work helped them with that. But there was one kid who wasn't in the theater group who I just mentioned she was going to be Queen of Hearts. She had a long lunch with our support, right, Mia. She came back the next morning fully as the Queen of Hearts. We weren't even ready to share. She just came dressed. She came ready as the Queen of Hearts. And all of the other students were so inspired. They were like, were we supposed to be in costume? I was like, not yet. That really wasn't until Wednesday. This, of course, was Tuesday. They saw that one kid dressed and ready. So instead of like, again, this is me just letting the moment happen. Instead of going forward with my agenda, I gave them all 10 minutes to run and get their costumes, because now they all have to have costumes, right? Like, and they came up with brilliant ideas in like 10 minutes.
We know you're late. It's clear. So why are you still here? I'll never make it now. I fear. You're late. You're late. You're late. But where are you running to? Well, since you asked.
You can't really rely so much on some of the personality you might have in a physical space. You have to be bigger and broader. You have to change up the way you deliver material. You can't do rote. Like every time they come into the space, I want to do something a little different with the way we engage in the welcome. Like I always changed up the welcome. So things were unexpected. Like I was thrilled to be able to be a part of this experience. And I really feel the students gained a great deal from being able to be together this summer in this way.